Hey everybody, and welcome to my N5 series on the SP404 mk2, where I cover a topic in about 5 minutes. Today I wanted to talk about actually recording in synths and a few different things to consider and ways to go about doing this so that you can actually play some synth sounds or, other sampled material, like you could record on a piano or whatever it is you'd like to do. So a couple things. One is if you understand or know scales, usually you're going to know that there's like the 7 or 8 notes that you're going to work with. So the major scale, which is the C major, which is what we're going to work with here, is just going to be all the white notes on the keyboard. And you're just going to get 8 of them. And we're going to line them up here. So the reason why we're going to do that is then we know that what scale we're in, and we can play things consistently for a couple different synths. We're going to get one synth sound here and one up here. And as long as you're in the same scale, you don't have to worry too much about playing bad notes. Like they're not going to sound off. They may, but it won't as frequently. And by creating each particular note, we can then record in and keep effects in things because we'll know that they're going to play within a certain BPM or speed and they're not going to sound weird pitched up. And to show you the example of what happens when we're in chromatic mode and why I usually say when you're recording in through chromatic mode, turn your effects off. If I come in and just record this note here, let's turn this up, and let's say we just play this note. It's got an envelope, it's got a delay in there, it's got a couple other things. So if I go play this, it's going to reproduce it just fine, but if I hold Shift and Pad 4 and start pitching it up, watch what happens. If you haven't noticed, plays fine. Now it's playing that delay faster and faster. And that can cause problems when you're trying to get things that are going to sound consistent and in tempo or in time. So I usually would say turn your effects off as much as you can so that we can avoid this. However, if we're going to record every single note that we're going to play, we can actually keep that delay in here and have it be part of our pattern and sound that we have. And we're not having to worry about any LFOs accelerating and slowing down as we're pitching up or down. So what we're going to do, as I said, we're just going to go in and record in the C major scale just to keep this easy. And we're just going to do each note. So we got C here. We'll got D. And I'm not going to worry about that. You can hear that depending on how long I hit this for will depend on the envelope that comes in. But I'm not going to worry about it being perfect too much. You may vary for how much you care yourself. But I'm just trying to show, like as an example. So, and I'm not worried about the end time too much either. So we're almost done. Sorry, I'm just trying to hear to make sure I'm getting the right notes. Should just get used to putting my finger on the next note after I play it. And we're back to C. So your last note should start with your first note if you're doing this kind of a pattern where you're doing all notes. Now we can play chords. And you can hear like all of those echoes and everything that are really nice. They're syncing with each other. Sounds great. You may want to turn gate off for this as well. It depends on if you want to have some of that time control over your sound. But we've just done all this. I can come in now and we can get some different sounds. Let's get rid of decay and reverb this time. Let's get this really a deep bassy sound. All right, I like this. So we're going to use the top up here. We're going to do the same pattern. We're going to go from low to high, but we've pitched everything down. We've got like the more bassy sound here. And I want to record the same notes going the same order. This will allow us to positionally know where we're at. And then if we want to start playing chords and things, it will be pretty easy for us to know where to go grab them. So I'm going to record these out a bit longer because then we can do some other fun things with them. But because we don't have reverb and delay to worry about. It ends much quicker. Oop, going a little too fast here. I think that's the next one, right? Yeah. And we don't have velocity sensitivity on these pads, so we are getting a little bit of, by making this change from the S1, we are getting a little bit more expressiveness if we want to play expressively on the SP404 mk2 here. So this can be fun. It can be a valuable exercise to move things over. So another couple things is that some of these may end up make sense to re-record, but I can now, like, if we want to play a chord in C major, it's going to be basically first, second, third part of the chord. So it's just you're skipping every other note. I can play this, and then if I want to play the C note at the same time, we can get the bass in there. And, you know, it's just a similar pattern if you want to move up. Now, you're going to hit a point where if I wanted to start from here, I can't go up any higher. That's going to depend on you if you wanted to play this. I mean, you can transpose the notes down. Actually, I guess it would be this. Is the equivalent of this. We're just changing which note we're doing for C. Obviously, we could have recorded up further and higher in the scales so that you could have the patterns, but I just did it this way so we can do bass up top and more like this melodic kind of lead sound on the bottom. So yeah, I would say feel free to play around with this. It's a really good way to get synths in here. You've got plenty of other banks, so you can make all kinds of different scales. Obviously, you still have the opportunity, because we get like the C notes here. In this case, you can go use chromatic to pitch things up and down further, but obviously that also makes it harder to play because you're some of the other components at the same time. Anyway, I hope this makes sense. If you got more questions, feel free to ask them, but I wanted to kind of show off something a little bit different and maybe something that folks hadn't thought about too much in being able to record external synths and kind of set things up so that you can start playing patterns for chords, keep them in scale, and have, you know, multiple different scales to do things. Anyway, everybody, thanks for stopping by. Keep making music, keep having fun. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good, and peace.